How many times right before you're about to fall asleep at night, a random moment from 5, even 10 years ago just randomly pops into your head? Those times that you were cringy, you said something really loud, but no one laughed. You answered a question wrong. You were rejected. Someone made fun of you. All of these negative and unfavorable moments randomly come up. And while it is important to take note that it was a fact indeed, these events did happen, and while it may not have gone in your favor, it is very important to not associate these events with your self-identity or your self-image. But even more importantly than that, these events and these past mistakes have no correlation as to your success in the future. The reason that I'm making this video is that I'm currently reading a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. I strongly suggest that you read it, but I know that you probably won't, so that's why I'm going to make this video. This entire book deals with self-image. Self-image really dictates your entire future. The reason for this is that self-image aligns with the actions and the decisions that you make in real life. The problem in modern society is that many of us have a very poor self-image. And because of this in turn leads us to taking poor actions and poor decisions, which then fuels a poor self-image, which then leads us to taking poor actions and decisions. And this is a never-ending cycle called the feedback loop from hell. And as stated in the book, now while you cannot change past events, what you can change is your beliefs about those events. And by doing this basically lets go of these events altogether. Rather than looking at these moments as failures or limitations, you need to view them as data and feedback and nothing more. By looking at these events as data or feedback, they then influence your next action and your next decision. Then you get a little bit closer, or you improve just a little bit. And then by doing this, you're on the track of making progress. Then the next time you take action or you make a decision, you take data or you take information from that and then make your next. And that's how you get incrementally closer to your goal. A great analogy that the author gives in this book is a baby learning how to pick up a toy. As you might know, when a baby is born, they know absolutely nothing, and that includes being able to pick up objects. The analogy that he gives is that a baby learns how to pick up something by incrementally just squirming their hand all over the ground. Then they eventually are able to place their hand on the toy. Then they try again, squirming their arm across the ground, and then they eventually not only grasp the toy, but then they're able to move it left and right. They keep trying until they're able to not only grasp it, not only move it, but this time actually pick the object off the ground. At no point of trying and failing does the baby sit there and think that it's a failure, that it's doomed for life, that it has no chance of being successful. And yes, I know, obviously the baby doesn't even have the ability to think of that, but what if we used the same methodology that the baby does in our own lives? Rather than beating yourself around past mistakes and things that you did wrong in the past, again, use them as data or feedback points to influence your next decision. And by doing this, by taking the data, by taking the feedback and getting slightly better, this is how you get closer to the goal. And another great point that the author makes about all of this is that, yes, while you cannot control past events that have already happened, what if you just trained your brain, instead of going to the negative past experiences, you're able to go back to the positive ones? If you continuously thinking about the negative ones have led to your present poor self-image, what if you instead redirected your thoughts to a positive past experience, which then influences a positive present self-image? What about instead of thinking about the past mistakes and the failures, you thought about the times that you succeeded, you learned something new, you stepped out of your comfort zone. You just think for 3, 5, 10, even 30 seconds, there is one moment in your life, no matter how young you were when you did it, that you succeeded, that you learned something, you stepped out of your comfort zone, you accomplished something. It could be as little as tying your shoes. Do you know how to tie your shoes? The answer is probably yes. And it's moments like this where you remember that first aha moment of learning how to tie the bow, lacing the lace around the bow, and then pulling it, that eventually got you to tie your shoes. This aha moment is what I want you to think of. And now it's very important. Are you able to remember how you felt after this aha moment? You probably felt relieved. You probably felt excited. You probably felt motivated to tie the other shoe to tell your mom and dad. Think about how good and positive that made you feel. And this is a really important part in the book that the author mentions, that when it comes to visualizing success, when it comes to thinking about the future, don't just visualize and don't think about it. The way that you attract success is by learning how to feel what success feels like. By feeling success, you are able to change your thought pattern, which then influences your actions, the decisions, and then eventually creates habits. As the author mentions, feelings is the soil for thoughts to grow. Now that I've mentioned all of this, let me give you some actionable tips that you can start implementing right now so that you can start learning to let go of your past, so that you can become more attractive, but so that you can start heading down the road of success. The very first thing that you should learn to do in order to learn to let go of the past and to move forward is to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the past mistakes, no matter how bad they were. Learn to forgive yourself for everything, as well as not only yourself, learn to forgive other people. By holding on grudges about yourself, about other people, this is poison within the body, and you cannot outwork a grudge. You cannot outwork poison. By forgiving yourself first and forgiving others, you are breaking this feedback loop of hell. And the second thing is stop reliving negative experiences so much. We're in the present. We're in the now. The past doesn't even exist anymore. Something that has happened 5 to 10 years ago. Remember that moment, take data and feedback from it and nothing else. Just forget about that memory altogether. Use the information from there to now focus on building your vision for the future. At the very least, if your brain likes to backtrack a lot, now I've also explained before, at least to go to a positive place. Rather than thinking about the negative things, think about the times where you succeeded. A positive thing happened. So I hope you were able to at least come and make it to the end of this video, but you need to start practicing success now. Start acting and behaving like a person who is successful or someone who deserves to have success. What is it that the successful person does on a daily basis? What are the habits they engage in? Who are the people that they hang around with? What are the thoughts that they have? What are the things that they just continuously do? Start being around your own version of success, or at the very least, start acting like it right now. You already know the basic traits of what makes someone successful. Start implementing that right now in very small doses into your own life. And this is super, super important, because when you start acting and behaving like someone who is successful or someone who at least deserves it, you will start seeing many successes in your own life. And that is going to make you feel a certain way. And do you remember how I mentioned before that feelings is the soil for thoughts? When these little mini successes happen, you are going to feel good and you're going to feel better about yourself. And this is going to enhance your self-image. Now, once your self-image is enhanced, this is going to again lead to better decisions and actions in the future. Now, instead of just visualizing, just thinking about manifesting something, you have something very tangible and real to go off of. But it all started with action first. Instead of changing your feelings and changing your thoughts, change your actions to influence the former. And now you have more positive experiences to go back. And now when your brain likes to backtrack to past negative experiences, you can replace them with present positive experiences. Just think about how powerful that is for you. I promise if you start doing these tips starting today, you will find yourself feeling so much better about yourself, which is then going to lead to better self-confidence. And when you're self-confident, I promise that is the strongest trait of being attractive. If you are a person who believes that you are worthy, you carry yourself like you are someone who deserves to be successful, I promise it's only a matter of time before you eventually get to where you want to be. As always, I hope you got a ton of value from this video. And if you did, I wish you all the utmost success, because there's plenty for all of us. Well,